Hello, everyone. It's Andrea, and welcome to this edition of Talks in the Car. So, I want you to think about three stories, and let's see how these three stories work together to tell one lesson. So, let's talk about the widow woman who gave her few coins to the service of Jesus. Let's think about the three wise men who came with gifts to bring to Jesus. And then let's talk about the fictional story of the little drummer boy who came and gave a gift to Jesus. All three of those individuals, all three of those groups came with a willing heart. They came and they gave what they had to Jesus. All three of them were glad to give to Jesus. All three of them gave willingly, but all three of them were also at different levels in their giving. The three wise men, they came with gold, frankincense, and myrrh. They came with precious gems. They came with precious ointments, things that were worth a tremendous amount of money. They gave those to Jesus. The widow woman, she gave basically the last that she had. She gave her two coins, her two small coins that were pretty much not worth a whole lot, but she gave those to Jesus and to the service of Jesus. And then we have the fictional character of the little drummer boy. He didn't have anything monetarily, but he came with what he had. He came with service. He came to play his drum for Jesus. All three of them, again, at different levels, but all three of them came willing to give, willing to serve. They gave what they had. But in the essence of that story lies the beauty. None of them were thought of any better or any worse than the other. Jesus accepted all of those gifts. There in the little drummer boy story, in the song, at the end of the song, it says, after he played his drum, it says, then he smiled at me. And that for me is a symbol of acceptance. Jesus accepted the little drummer boy's playing. The three wise men, they bowed, even though they were of royal descent. They were educated gentlemen. They humbled themselves and they came with precious gifts and bowed before the newborn king. The widow woman, she didn't have an income. She didn't have someone to support her. She didn't have a child to look over her in her old age, and she gave what she had, and Jesus accepted it. We don't have to be concerned whether or not what we have to give, what we offer God, what we give to God's service. We don't have to be concerned on whether or not God will accept our gifts if we come with a spirit of thankfulness, if we come with a spirit of being humble, if we come with a spirit of wanting to give to Jesus, wanting to give to God, wanting to give in his service, whatever it is. The little drummer boy didn't have a financial token, but he gave out of the gifted area that he had. He was a drummer. That's what he gave. The widow woman, she gave the very last. She could have taken those funds, those coins, and maybe bought another meal, maybe bought something that she needed, but she gave it to Jesus. The wise men, they were not so high and mighty that they could not come with precious gifts and with what they had, and to humble themselves and to bow their faces before Jesus to give him what they had. So we do not have to be concerned. We do not have to feel bad when we may not have what others have. We don't have to be concerned if our gift may seem a little less than somebody else's. God is looking for a willingness. God is looking for a heart that wants to give, that desires to give. That's what God is looking for. The amount, the condition of a gift doesn't matter to God, as long as we give it willingly and as long as we give it from the heart, in the spirit in which he desires it. If we have nothing to give but our voice in worship, God will accept that. If we have thousands of dollars and we give it in a spirit of humility, and we give it and we say, God, do with this as you please. If we do that, God will accept it. If we are down to our last dime, but we give that, God is accepting of it. If we have absolutely nothing at all, but we give of ourselves, we give our obedience, we give our sacrifice of praise and worship, if we give that, God will accept it. So don't feel bad if you feel that your gift, your token, whatever that you have is not to a level of which you may want to give. Give what you have to God and do it with a smile. Do it with a joyful heart, because guess what? God will accept it. God's not looking at you and said, well, this person gave more or this person gave less. And God does not turn his nose up or down at anybody based on their willingness to give, their spirit of giving. God will receive what we have because it's in our hearts and it's in our spirits to give. So again, I encourage you, whatever it is that God has given you to give, whatever it is that you desire to give to God, if you give it with a spirit of humbleness, if you give it because that's what you want to do for God, if you give it out of your love and your passion for God, if you give it because you want to use whatever it is that you have in order to serve others, in order to be a blessing to others, God will accept it. And he will accept it from you with little, the same way that he will accept it from the person who has much. Little becomes much when you place it in the master's hand. Little is much to God when you give it with a spirit of gratefulness, when you give it because you want to give to God. And it doesn't matter if it's money. It doesn't matter if it's just your God, I love you from the heart. Whatever your offering is to God, he will accept it from you, his child, from you, his son, you, his daughter. He will accept it because you gave it to him with a spirit of joy, with a spirit of humility, with a spirit of thanksgiving. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you next time on Talks in the Car.